Welcome back, family. Today's subconscious reprogramming exercise is going to be on thought diffusion utilizing visual techniques. So, the two primary goals of thought diffusion is to 1, receive information, and 2, make our actions effective. So I want you to pretend for a second that your hands are now your thoughts. So I want you to place your hands out in front of you, side by side, just as if they were a book. And now I want you to slowly bring your hands up and notice how your reality begins to change as your thoughts become closer and closer to your vision, to the point to where they're firmly pressed up against your eyes. So now, at this point, I want you to notice the change in your reality. How are you able to perceive the outside world in this current state? Are you able to do the things you need to do to make your life work in this state? Imagine living this way day to day. It doesn't make much sense. So now if we begin to lower our thoughts, creating that distance, placing them back out in front of you, palms up, side by side, just like a book again, I want you to now notice how much more information about the world you're able to see. Look around and fully immerse yourself into the environment in which you are in. And once you realize that you are immersed in this environment, I want you to think about just minutes ago, seconds ago, when your hands were covering your eyes, your thoughts were covering your eyes. And I want you to think about the environment. Did the environment feel the same to you? Because you no longer had your visual information about the environment. So did the environment change? How would you know? You would have to rely on your other senses in that instance. Maybe you hear something fall. Obviously, that means the environment has changed. Maybe you hear something, footsteps. These are all indicators, but these are all predicated upon your senses. Today's focus is obviously on the visual aspect. So, I want you to now just let your hands rest. And notice that they're still here, okay? Your thoughts are still here. They haven't disappeared, but because it's not immediately useful in this moment, we no longer need to have them so close to our vision. We need to create the distance so that we can see our reality and take in information so that we can make our actions effective. We can shoot our bow and arrow and hit the target because we can see what the target is. If we are blindfolded, and this is because our thoughts are so close, you have to understand that when we are so close to something, the closer you get, the darker it becomes. And so when we understand when there's a distance created, it's like looking at a light in the middle or on one end of a warehouse and you are on the complete opposite end. And the warehouse is just complete pitch black darkness. There's no lights. And you see that light on the end of that warehouse. The closer you get, the less contrast there is. There is an immense amount of contrast where there is a singular light and no other source. There's just darkness that wraps it, that envelops it, engulfs it. And so when we understand, the closer our thoughts get, the closer we are, the more attached we are to our thoughts, the harder it becomes to see, to receive information, and we become less effective. We become less effective because we can't receive information. And this reality in which we operate is a feedback loop. We require feedback in order to make the adjustments and to make sure that we are on the right track. And the way you can ensure this is to ensure that your internal happiness meter is fulfilled, is to a level of contentness. Because if you are unhappy, that's the quickest indicator that something is not in the right direction. Something is not in alignment. And it's the easiest. It's like turning your computer on and off. It's just kind of that quick reboot that can quickly isolate the problem and just let you know what to focus on. Because if you reboot the computer, if you just separate yourself from the thought and the problem still persists, then again, maybe we have other underlying issues. Maybe we have to address the receiving aspect, how things are received. Maybe we need to adjust the antennas. There's certain parts that we may need to tweak, but it starts with doing the simple fix first. Separate yourself from the thought. When you're having the negative thought or the self-limiting belief, I can't do this, I'm never going to be good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not quick enough, whatever it is, you insert that here. When you have that thought and that's all you can think, that's all you see, and it's just darkness, it's just you can't see any solutions, again, understand all that is this. You are so close to that it's blocking your vision. So you have to create the separation. You have to pull your thoughts away from your vision and allow yourself to take in information. Because the more information you receive, if you know, okay, I shot this arrow, but it was 3 degrees to the left too high and 1 degree up too high. If you have precise measurements, then again, you can adjust and recalculate. And when you go and shoot that second arrow, it will be right on the money. It will be right on the bullseye. And this is because you can see clearly. You can't see clearly when your thoughts are blocking your vision. And this is why it becomes important to create the distance. Create the distance between yourself and your thoughts so that you do not suffer from the blindness. Your own created blindness. You can create your own blindness just by allowing your thoughts to become too close and attaching themselves to you. You have to create the separation of self and thoughts, because you are not your thoughts. And once you create that separation, things become a lot easier. Another quick exercise is, if you observe a negative or self-limiting belief, just say, "Thanks, mind, good story. Thanks, mind, good story. I'm not good enough. Thanks, mind, good story." You have to diffuse that thought and create a level of separation, because if you begin to attach, see, the thought is just like an empty ship. And when you put your emotions into it, that's the energy, that's the fuel that's going to give that ship everything it needs to sustain travel throughout space and time. Now, whatever this space and time or the span of this space and time is highly dependent upon how reactive the fuel is. What type of fuel are we talking? Anger can be a certain type of fuel, but love is also another type of fuel. So there's many types of fuel. And when you understand different types of fuel have different types of burn rates, different types of longevity, different types of fuels are going to burn faster than others. When you understand this, then you understand, I can't utilize anger for the next 25 years. That's not a sustainable fuel source. I need to figure out a more sustainable fuel source. And this is where it comes in positive thoughts and restructuring your mind to the fundamental basis to where you no longer have to interject and intervene so often, to where your mind becomes a oasis of sorts where you've dealt with anything that continuously keeps you in a loop, in a self-limiting belief. When you've addressed those beliefs, those core limits, and you've unlocked basically your true self, your limitless self, then the access is just, it's everything you've ever wanted is right before you. And it just becomes a matter of you unlocking what you truly desire, because what is for you is going to be for you, and nothing can take that away. Nothing can stop that. Nothing can deter it. But you actually have to be you in order to assume your blessings, to claim your inheritance. Okay, nobody can take this from you, but you have to claim it. And this again starts with separating self from thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are none of these things. And so the less you think of yourself as anything, you are nothing and everything. If you think of yourself as nothing and everything, again, you have to even think beyond that, because even that is just duality. So you just have to think of yourself as just self in this instance, the observer. And everything outside of that is attempting to attach and to become part of you. But you get to choose if it becomes part of you. You get to choose if it is allowed within your universe. And you have to remember you have this power. You cannot give this power up, because this is what makes you an individual, the ability to choose. If you lose that ability, you no longer are an individual, and you are operating off of essentially a hive mind mentality or just fear, which is, again, is program. It's program based, fight or flight. So this has been today's subconscious reprogramming exercise, family. To the next one. Peace.